Down the stretch they come. Actually, I don't know if you'd call the last month of spring training the stretch drive, but we're headed that way. 1 month from the season, and we got a lot to talk about. Jeff's first roster breakdown is coming your way next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast with a special guest, Laura Stickells. Spoiler alert, they're all in. Every one of those three guys. They're going to make the team. And it's amazing because it's really difficult among those that we know on the Texas Rangers to figure out who will be out. We do know this. Laura Stickells is in as the sideline. What do we call him? Sideline or dugout
Field
reporter
reporter
now?
You know, that's a great question, and it's been a hot debate amongst other sideline reporters I know, but I think that they're calling within the organization the position the field reporter.
Field reporter.
But I typically, in the past, have gone by sideline reporter. I know there's no sidelines in baseball, but, you know, whatever works, right?
Yeah, whatever works. Laura is the new person who will do the bulk of the game. She's with us today. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson. We got the Prophet over there, and Laura Stickells, who will work with Emily Jones. But Emily's taking a step back. Kids are getting older. Lots more activity going on with them. So the Rangers are looking forward to the future with someone like Laura. And there's a lot that we love about Laura already. I just met her today. But one of the things is she said she's basically like a diehard to the podcast, been listening to getting used to the team.
Yes, I was telling Jeff as I was coming up here, I feel like this is, you know, I'm a new level of fame for me being on this podcast because I have been listening to this podcast since I was interviewing for this position, just trying to, you know, get as much information as I can and kind of, you know, immerse yourself in the Rangers.
Sure.
And so I've been listening to this podcast now for over a month.
Wise
so
choice.
What percentage are we responsible for you getting this job?
That's a good question. You know, that hard to put a number on it.
75?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so-
75%.
So we in for a little cut? I mean,
No. You
All
have
right,
to talk to my agents about that.
Yeah, so here we
man.
go. Here we go with this. If Laura nods off during the show, fear not. She confided that she often listens to the show as she's going to bed. And look, I have put many people to sleep over the years. So, you know, I've been doing post games and stuff after people fall asleep with me on a post game show after a West Coast Rangers game and wake up to, you know, color bars and so forth. So if Laura nods off, we'll wake her. We'll gently wake her. It's okay. I think it's kind of fun, actually. And, you know, if the show continues after you fall asleep, those words still get in there, don't they?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like you know, learn through osmosis. Even if I fall asleep, I'm still, you know, hearing the words, hearing the names, and it all makes a difference. No, but seriously, it's funny because I listen to podcasts as I fall asleep because, you know, it distracts me from my own thoughts. So I'm focused on something else. But the key is not to listen to something that's like so detailed that I'm like listening too hard to the point that I can't fall asleep. So you guys are a happy medium for
We're
me.
a happy
good.
medium. Yeah, good. We appreciate that. Jeff has done his first roster breakdown. Laura is going to weigh in on that. We're also going to talk about today's game and Laura's experience. She's already been out to Surprise. And we're going to get to know Laura in the third segment of the show, and I'm going to grill her. She thought she was on the hot seat before.
Oh, boy.
Wait. Just wait. I'm throwing fastballs right at her coming up a little bit later. But first, Jeff, let's get to this roster breakdown, which I was anxious to read. We didn't talk about it. Obviously, we talk about things like this every day, but we hadn't talked about your actual breakdown. And it was essentially exactly what I thought, including the very end when you talked about the one guy who may be gone if other things, So
Yeah.
anyway, let's run through it here.
Yeah, well, these are kind of, I don't want to say futile. You can make
Yes.
yourself look like an ass if you do it too many times or too wrong. But I thought that, it's pretty much status quo for now. It's what it is when the team went to camp. The exception is that Luke Jackson was signed to a major league deal, so he's on the team. So that kind of shuffles the bullpen a little bit. But, it seems like the 5 starters were the ones that everybody thought. The infield obviously is set in stone. The outfielders, but now there's Kevin Pillar. So how's that going to work out? So anyway, I went chalk. Like picking out an NCAA bracket. I went with the higher seeds pretty much across the board, and not a lot of mystery, but it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. There's going to be an injury. Some guys are going to spit the bit, and some guys just going to be too hard to overlook. I mean, the Rangers have had a history, and Mike Maddox has had a history of putting guys on the team who you've never heard of. Mason Tobin. Do you remember Mason?
I do remember
Tobin?
Mason.
All right, Mason Tobin made the team in 2011. And then, I don't know if it was the next year or the year after, Robbie Ross came out of nowhere.
Yes, he did.
And made the team. So there are just guys like that who you're like, hey, they have no chance. You don't even really introduce yourself to them at spring training because they're like, pfft, and then son of a bitch, they're on the team. So I think there are a couple candidates for that. I really think Jack Leiter would be a surprise, though we've talked about it a lot. Mark Church, potentially a surprise. If you want to go way down the list, and I said it yesterday, Robbie Ahlstrom.
Yeah.
A left-handed reliever who Mike Maddox really likes. Now, he has some lefties ahead of him, Jacob Latz and Walt Pennington, but I wouldn't put anything past this Mike Maddox fella. He knows what he likes.
Well, to me, Robbie Ahlstrom would be Mason Tobin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not on anybody's radar except yours. And you have a good relationship with with Mike Maddox, obviously.
I do.
So that helps.
Yeah.
And that's a tip for you. Friendship with the coaches, very good.
I'm aware.
Yeah, you are, because she's done it. I mean, Laura's been doing this for a while, right?
Yes.
This job as a sideline reporter. You were in baseball most recently, right?
Yeah, so I've been doing baseball and hockey simultaneously now I've been doing baseball for the last 2 years, hockey for the last 4 or 5. So yes, I've know how it goes when it comes to making sure you're tight with the coaches and have a good relationship with people.
Yeah. And so that's a huge thing. And the Rangers coaching staff is so experienced. And Jeff, we can learn from that experience, to your point about the Mason Tobins of the world. You know?
Yeah. And you just it's hard to evaluate in spring training. You don't want to fall in love with a guy who has pitched 6 scoreless 8th innings in meaningless games. You want to see how they perform against stiffer competition. So when these relievers who are pitching at the back of games against honestly hitters they may have faced before in the minor leagues or guys who are just overmatched, when all of a sudden Robbie Ahlstrom is the first guy out of the bullpen, then it's like, oh, okay, the starters are still in the game. The Rangers are really taking a serious look at this guy. The recon I've done, is based on bullpens and live batting practice and how the stuff looks and how they compete in live batting practice. And so there are several good reports out there, Robbie among them. Patrick Murphy throws a 98. That's a big power arm and a big fella. Cole Drake, guys like him. He's been down with some back issues, but a guy who started at low A, ascended to double A last year from right up the road in Wiley, really wasn't on anybody's radar last year. And lo and behold, he's now, coaches are saying, hey, this Drake kid's pretty good.
Yeah. So other guys that, are going to make the roster and but have been really good in spring training and came to spring training basically, I think, with the mindset, Jeff, that I better prove that I should be on the roster. Amazingly, one of those guys is the 2023 Pitcher of the Year in the Texas Rangers, Dane Dunning, and he's been lights out, Jeff.
Yeah, he had to get better. I don't know what happened last year. He just wasn't very good. He had some shoulder fatigue, okay, because he had thrown a bunch of innings the year before, but he'd kind of admitted he was out of shape, and he needed to get into shape. And if you see Dane Dunning now, he looks different than he did last year. You know, he's cleaned it up a little bit. And the guy, like you said, the year the Rangers won the World Series, who was their pitcher of the year? Dane Dunning.
Yeah.
The guy who started in the bullpen, became an invaluable piece, and he wants to do whatever he can to help the team. I think that's something that the World Series taught a lot of these guys. It's all about the winning. It doesn't matter where you pitch, just as long as you're part of the club and helping them get to the end goal. You know, because Dane was back in the bullpen for the World Series. Andrew Heaney pitched in the bullpen. You just see a lot of selflessness at that point. And anyway, I think Dane makes the team just because he has experience in the role that the Rangers are going to need while they try to figure out the innings of how to manage DeGrom and Tyler Mahle at this point.
Okay. We've got, and really, so then the one thing where we both agree, the guy who could possibly be the odd man out, the position where it could get dicey is Kevin Pillar, right?
Yeah.
Kevin Pillar was brought in, a guy with tremendous major league experience, a great ability and history of hitting left-handed pitching, which neither of the other center field candidates have proven that they can do. So Kevin Pillar really muddies the waters a little bit on who might make the team as the outfield, right? Crew.
Well,
and yet, do we see any avenue, I guess, other than trade, that it would have to be Leote, right? You're not getting rid of Evan Carter under any circumstance.
Well, the projection I did has 6 infielders and 4 true outfielders. I put Jock Peterson in that group, outfield DH, 5 players. So really the Rangers only have 4 outfielders, but Josh Smith and Zeke Duran can play the outfield, okay? So it's not unthinkable that the Rangers would carry 3 outfielders. They could carry Taveras, Carter, and Pillar. Now, that would cost almost certainly Ezekiel Duran a roster spot because he can still be optioned. So, you're getting to the point where if you remember just a couple years ago, or, you're like, well, gosh, how could the Rangers possibly live without Ezekiel Duran? And that's just kind of, they've raised the bar. And look, there's some veteran infielders, one in particular, Nick Ahmed, who hit a home run yesterday.
Yeah.
Guy's played on some really good teams and was a really, really good player for a long, long time. He's a veteran. If your extra infielder is not going to play a lot, and you think that the guy who's the young star or has more of an upside in Duran needs at bats, well, he could go to AAA and get him. So I mean, there's some ways that this could be put together, but right now, like I said, I'm going with the guys who are on the 40-man, the guys who have been talked about all off season. And now that games we're week into games starting tomorrow, I think evaluation kind of starts then. So we'll see. Roster projection 2.0 could look a lot different, but probably not a lot different.
I can't imagine it'd be a lot different. Yeah, there's no
Corey
doubt.
Seager's going to make the team.
Yeah. All right. So a fun look at that, the first roster breakdown. We're going to really start to talk with Laura a lot more in the next segment. We're going to hear her thoughts about spring training. We're going to hear her thoughts about today's lineup, and we'll get to know her more as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Oh, man, I haven't even looked at the reads.
I think I'm first.
Oh, good.
Okay, wait. What do you need me to talk about coming up? Just so I.
Well, we are in our commercial break now, Laura, and I'll tell you what tell me this. You were live the whole time. Thank you. There's Jeff Kavanaugh, one of our football men. What do you think?
I love them.
Thank you.
They look great with the green Texas outline.
Yep. See there? Got my Shady Rays, brother. Those are Shady Rays. You didn't know they had glasses this cool, did you? Got to be a pretty damn cool guy to wear glasses like that, which I am. And I love Shady Rays, and so does Jeff Kavanaugh. He's fixing to go buy a pair. Shady Rays are the glasses that you need to get. Huh? What?
Actually, I lost my pair of Shady Rays, and that's okay.
Yeah, because you can get them. Have you gotten them replaced yet? Yeah, they'll give them to you again. Shady Rays are fantastic in that regard. Great warranty, great glasses. Everybody here loves them. Everybody here wears them. You should too. Get 35% off at shadyrays.com with the code DLLS.
John, when we walked in, we're right across from the House of Blues, and there was a group of young people, a long line of young people waiting for something.
With blankets.
So they'd been there a while.
Yeah.
And so I did some research, and it turns out that Role Model, one person, and Nathan Apollo are at the House of Blues tonight. And, they're kind of like young and hip-hoppy.
Okay.
Anyway, if you don't have tickets, because apparently, people were camping out for them, you sure as heck can get them at Game Time, which is our favorite app for getting tickets on the secondary market. $20 off your first purchase with the code DLLS. And as I live and breathe here, I am looking at the Game Time app, Role Model tickets starting at $204. So it'd be $184 if you download the app and use the code DLS for $20 off your first purchase.
Yeah, and of course you can get them for cheaper at the last minute. Although with people lined up, that's only if there's tickets left.
Yeah,
with people lined up, I don't know that you will. Laura, when I say the word Apollo, forget Nathan or whatever his name was. I say the word Apollo. What do you think of?
Apollo 11.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yes.
I wanted to. I mean, you're so young. I didn't know if you knew. We had a whole space, mission after mission called Apollo. So good.
I'm very familiar with that. Yes.
Are you good?
Loved Apollo 13 movie back in the day.
Yeah. That's good.
I think of Apollo Creed.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Loved it. Adrian.
Apollo.
Let's get to know Laura a little bit. First of all, how much time have you had yet, if any? Have you chatted with Emily, gotten to know her at all yet?
Yeah, so I had a phone call with Emily like about probably a week after I got the job. And no, I mean, she's obviously great. She's somebody that growing up as I was getting into this industry, definitely looked at her stuff as an example. But no, I'm super excited to now get to work alongside her.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you have a week in spring training thus far?
Yes. So I was out there for a little less than a week. I was helping shoot some features for the RSN stuff. So I wasn't like out in the backfields as much as Jeff was. So I didn't get to see quite as much, but I did get to meet the guys kind of like.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I've done that. Yeah, I've done that role many times. You sit in a room and just guy after guy after guy comes in. But we usually have a lot of baseball questions, but then a lot of slice of life questions and stuff. So you get to know them in that way.
Definitely. No, it was really helpful. And Jared Sandler was there too. He was doing like he was doing a lot of the feature interview stuff too. So it was nice to get to sit in on those interviews and just kind of get familiar with everybody. And it's helpful getting to meet the guys more like one-on-one or just like in a situation where you get to shake their hand and meet everybody individually rather than being thrown in a clubhouse.
Yeah.
And it's like a free-for-all. So it's much better that way.
Yeah. Yeah. A little more relaxed. And I mean, I'm sure they don't all love doing that stuff, but they finally just, I'm sure, are like, okay, this is what it is. And
exactly.
Generally when they get dragged over there by the PR people, it's kind of like, okay, I'm not going at this one kicking and screaming, right? Sometimes if you just approach them, to your point, Laura, in the clubhouse, you're like, I was going to go, whatever. And so anyway, this is a better way to meet them. Who'd you hate? No, I'm kidding. I know you didn't hate anybody. What were your impressions? Who stood out? Who did you like?
That's such a good question. I think I'd obviously heard a lot about the team and kind of their personalities coming into it. So I knew a little bit what to expect, but I would say, Josh Young is obviously, like one of the
fun guy. Yeah.
But I've heard to be, one of the most fun guys on the team. So he was definitely super friendly. I'm trying to think. It was exciting too to get to talk to our Stanford catcher, Malcolm.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
So that was a big one for me.
Yeah.
So that one was great. No, I honestly thought all of the guys really came in with, honestly, you were saying like sometimes they feel like they're getting dragged over there to do media. No, I really thought that everybody came in with really positive attitude and was really friendly. And everybody I met I really liked.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's take a look at today's lineup, go through this a little bit, talk a little bit about what happened in spring training. And again, Jeff, we see Josh Smith at first base again today. They're going kind of back and forth with Peterson getting some reps over there, Josh Smith getting a lot of reps over there. But when you look at really the top 5 in that batting order for sure, top 6 really, you could see that being the batting order a lot this season.
100% conceivable. Those are guys who, you actually saw that order for a lot of the postseason games.
Yeah.
Simeon Seager, Carter, Garcia.
Those, yeah.
And at the time, Josh was batting toward the bottom of the order as he was coming off of the wrist thingy, or thumb. It was a thumb. I'm losing track. But yeah, that looks pretty good. I think Wyatt Langford ultimately is still in there, high up in that batting order. But and then at this point, and Bruce Bochy was like, hey, don't read too much into these lineups. Some guys may be batting in the top just to make sure they're getting enough at bats. And during the regular season, they're not going to be that high in the order. So maybe ultimately Carter is that guy today, and you find him at the bottom of the lineup when the season starts. But again, he can hit anywhere. But yeah, Simeon and Seager, they're not going anywhere. They're 1-2 all the way. So that is kind of something that is going to be formulated, and you'll start to figure out as the last week of camp arrives, when these guys start playing a lot more together instead of one Group A on Monday and Wednesday and Friday, and Group B on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. That was just an example. But and you are seeing guys go back to back. I think this is Carter's second straight game. Josh Smith at first base, that's his second straight start at first base. So I'm mentioned this today. I don't think they're entirely sold on Jock Peterson as a first baseman.
Yeah.
I think he's not their first preference to back up Jake Berger. But it'd be nice to have, I guess.
Sure. I mean, that flexibility would be great to have. Yeah. So, yeah, you'll see how all that plays out. And Alejandro Osuna, I think, is one of the few guys. He's played every day.
Well, those young guys.
Yeah, they'll get to. Yeah.
You could tell them to go waving parking, cards, go to the lot and park cars, and they'd do it. And Osuna, the reigning minor league player of the year, had a real nice catch yesterday, diving catch against the Reds. He's a good kid, and he's one of the he's an intriguing guy that a lot of these guys are getting their first look at. And Tony Beasley's like, I want to see what this guy can do, and Tony's coaching the outfielders now, so. Yeah, he's somebody to watch. He's probably a major leaguer at some point.
Laura, have you had much chance to chat with Boch yet?
Yeah, so I, met him when I was at spring training after one of our, just media availabilities, and then I actually did the sit-down interview with him
Nice.
When we were doing our feature stuff. And Boch is obviously an incredible guy, and even amazing manager, and I'm really excited to be able to work with him.
And you grew up in Northern California, right?
So I grew up in Eastern California, so by Nevada. Not particularly close to Giants territory,
right.
But I wasn't really close to anything. So yeah.
Right, yeah. I was gonna say I didn't even know there was an Eastern California. I've never heard anybody
that's what everybody says.
Characterize it like Eastern California.
Exactly.
So did you what were your teams, not only in baseball, but who'd you follow growing up?
So, I didn't really I wasn't super dialed into sports until really I got to high school. And growing up, my dad, he's from Boston. So I grew up, if I, had to pick a team that I was following, I would probably say, the Red Sox and the Patriots were the two teams that, my dad was a fan of. So I was a fan of. But that being said, we weren't a huge sports household. So I didn't watch a ton of sports really until I got to high school. And that's when I started watching college football. And that was kind of my introduction into sports. And I really like this. And then, it's kind of grown from there. But people ask me who did you root for growing up? I'm like, I didn't really, I guess if I had to pick, I would say the Red Sox and the Patriots. But I'm still finding my own fandoms, and I feel like it's just kind of the teams I work for end up being the teams that I
of course. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And look, those experiences are so great because the better they are, right? The more they win, the more experiences you and all of us. I mean, anybody, Jeff, who's been affiliated as a writer, we all get to experience new and different things based on what they do. So we always say, I'm not really a fan, yet I really want them to win. Yes. The more they win, the more cool stuff we get to do.
Well, yeah, but also I feel like, you become, as you get to know these people, and most of the, guys and people that work in sports, for the most part, they're good people, and you want to see good people succeed. So you just kind of get invested in
So
that
true.
process.
And the other thing is you get to know these people as human beings.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what's really cool. And so I'm from Detroit and was a huge sports fan the whole time. And I remember in 2011 when the Rangers played the Tigers in the ALCS, and my family couldn't believe that I was rooting for the Rangers, right? I was a Tigers fan my whole life. And I'm like, I was helping, Nelly Cruz in the weight room. I was spotting, I was helping somebody's wife over here. Like, I know these people as people. I don't know anybody on the Tigers.
Exactly.
I mean, I can root for the uniform, but these are kind of quasi friends of mine, so it becomes a different animal in that regard.
That's what I always tell people. They're like, what do you mean you don't root for the Rangers? I'm like, well, you can't really do that. So I always say I root for the people.
Yeah.
Because if they're doing well, then that means good things for the team. But as long as they're doing well, that's good. So like when somebody hits a home run who's been struggling, you're like, all right, good for him. You know?
Absolutely.
It's like he needed that.
Yeah.
You can see a sense of relief. And if you've been talking to him about his struggles, you go up to him in the clubhouse and he
By the way,
give you
when
a knowing nod or something.
Yeah, and it'll probably show up in the chat. When I say I was helping Nelly Cruz in the weight room, like he probably dropped his phone or something. So, not like I'm spotting for him. Nelly's a big, strong guy.
He's holding up the bench. Hey, can you get that for me?
So, and in your experience with the minor league sports, I'm sure you've experienced similar type things. You it's hard to call them friends necessarily. It's not like people you hang out with, but you're certainly friendly and very well acquainted with these people.
Yeah, and especially as a minor league reporter, you're talking to them a lot about the different things that they're working on when it comes to development and the struggles that they're going through. And being a minor league player is not necessarily the easiest thing. So you have these conversations with guys, and not all of them happen on camera, right? So you do get to know them, and I think what was so fun about being a minor league reporter is getting to see these guys that have worked so hard get those big league call-ups, right? That was probably the most satisfying and exciting part. I still remember seeing the Twitter notification come through that Nick Sogard was getting his big league call up, and literally pulling over on the side of the road because I was so excited for him because he's worked for it for so long. So you just want to see these people succeed more than anything because you get to know them and you see how hard they work day in and day out. And for the most part, they're great guys. Yeah. They're really nice to be around. So
absolutely,
yeah,
that's great. And hockey. It's a different animal, and I covered a lot of hockey. I covered the Stars, and I was with them when they won the Stanley Cup in Buffalo in '99, which was really cool. But that's an interesting one. First of all, you talk about good guys.
Oh, my. Yeah.
Those hockey players, I mean, they're good, most of them, good old Canadian boys, come from the farms of Canada.
Yes. I mean, the people that I met through covering hockey, and my first experience covering hockey, well, I guess the first time I was in Alaska, but then when I was in Boston, I was working closely with BU men's hockey, and it's like a family. Like if you work for a hockey team or you work around a hockey team, you feel like you're part of that family. And no, I mean, hockey players, it's funny, they remind me just of golden retrievers or like dogs or something. They're so fun and also just great guys, and they've got their own kind of personality going. It's really something.
Yeah, it really is. That bell means it's time for a break, but we're going to Alaska next because she's been there. She's worked there. It's unbelievable. Do they really say mush to the dogs on a dog sled team? We're about to find out on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Now I'm lost, Jeff.
It's me. It's me. I'm so excited to tell you guys about Waymo, especially if you're going to spring training. Waymo is only in Phoenix, LA, and San Francisco. So if you're in the Phoenix area, you need to check out Waymo. Do you know what Waymo is, John? It's autonomous ride-hailing service. These cars drive themselves now, using cameras and the latest in technology to keep you safe. The service has grown, and it covers the majority of the Phoenix Valley. So if you want to go catch the Rangers, say, in Scottsdale, you could probably grab one there and have a nice night on the town in Scottsdale, not have to drive. You can have fun. because you have Waymo at your fingertips. So yeah, give it a shot. It's crazy. I'm going to give it a shot. I go back next week. No, yeah, Monday. I go back Monday. Laura's going back. She's going to try Waymo. But if you're headed out to Arizona for spring training, download the Waymo One app and get ready to experience the future.
Yeah, the future's now.
And it's
a lot
cheaper
of these
than
areas.
Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the future is now in neon, too, because neon's not a gaseous substance that could explode at any time in your man cave. Neon is now LED lights underneath colored tubing, and it looks just like neon. And that's what Saturday Neon is. We encourage you to avail yourself to some of the Saturday Neon schools, any of your schools, almost anybody's really favorite school is there. TCU's not there yet. We're working on that for Jeff.
Thank
Oakland
you.
University is not there yet. Are you a Stanford girl? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Stanford. Is Stanford there, Jeff?
I don't know.
Do you remember?
I'd have to go to the
Stanford
website.
may not be. But anyway, we'll get them all in there, and they will get them all in there. It's Saturday Neon. They have all the colleges, but they'll make you one personally, too. They're not super expensive, and they're really cool. They'll really decorate your house, your man cave. Go to Saturday Neon. Use the code DLLS. Get 10% off your Saturday Neon. All right, so this Alaska thing intrigued me. Right out of college, you went to Alaska to work?
No. So my first job out of college, I was working for Pac-12 Networks on the business side.
Oh, did you know Bob Schmelsley? No?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he was one of the other side.
Did you make that name up?
No, not a
I was
bad
going to say,
funny
no, I
name.
know the name, but I think he worked for Conference, right? Did he work for the Conference?
No, he worked for the network, but he was over on certainly on the productions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No. Oh, the name is really familiar,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Schmelsley.
I was
Yeah,
not there
yeah.
long enough to
Yeah,
really
yeah.
know everybody in the company. So I was there for less than a year, and then I moved to Alaska.
Okay.
So that was kind of the step I took.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting step. When I was first in the business, and I was married already, and my wife said, we can go anywhere but Alaska, right? And in broadcasting and, reporting, you may have to. And so I never applied in Alaska. And then she ultimately did say that we couldn't go to the English-speaking television station in Guam.
Oh.
Either, which ironically, you don't know her yet. You'll meet her, though, Laura. There's a former female sportscaster from around here, and she actually still does some work for Channel 5. Gina Miller, Jeff, you know Gina.
I know Gina.
Gina worked at the English-speaking TV
that right?
station in Guam. It was always, back in the day, we looked in Broadcasting Magazine, and it was always available.
Oh, yeah.
That job was always available. Gina hauled off and took it. So, but you go to Alaska to do what?
So just like I went to Alaska not because I felt like I had to, but because I actually wanted to. I thought it would be a really cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I moved up there to write sports for a local newspaper in
Okay.
Fairbanks, which is the northern interior city
Mm-hmm.
in Alaska. So I was writing for the Fairbanks Daily News Miner. I was covering sports. I was covering a lot of prep sports. There's also a college up there, University of Alaska Fairbanks, which has Division I hockey, and then everything else is Division II, except for rifle. Actually, that's
Great at
Division I.
rifle.
Yeah, I was gonna say rifle. That's Division I. So I covered a lot of Division I hockey up there, and then some really cool stuff like sled dog racing, and like local Alaskan sports. Like there's this event called the World Eskimo Indian Olympics up there every year, which was really cool to cover. I got to cover a couple Midnight Sun baseball games. So yeah, I mean it was an incredible year.
They play that at midnight, the Midnight Sun baseball game.
So they started at 10 p.m.
Okay.
And they play it with no lights. It usually ends around like 1 in the morning.
Really?
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. It's like daylight. It's not like dark kind of day. Is it full on daylight at midnight?
So at that point, it's like a sunset. It
Okay.
would probably feel like the equivalent of like this. You can still see the sun, like it's usually like skimming the horizon a little bit,
Okay.
but it's like a little bit dusky at that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still like it still feels like it's daylight outside.
It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah. My niece, as I shared with you, is at Alaska Fairbanks right now getting her master's in something. And she's from Colorado. So the cold doesn't bother her as much as the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now, that's the other thing.
Like the sun
This-
doesn't come up until like 10.
Yeah, this time of year you get almost no sun, right?
Yeah, and when the sun does come up, it just like skims the horizon. Like you'll never feel it on your skin. Like you'll never
Yeah.
like feel that warmth of the sun because
Yeah.
it doesn't get up high enough to do
Oh,
that.
geez.
But it comes up and it just like skims the horizon, and you'll get like a nice sunrise, sunset for
Yeah,
a
then
couple
again,
hours of
this
the day,
time-
and then it goes away.
Yeah, this time of year, I don't guess you're going out there with like your bathing suit on or your skin out much, right?
No,
or you're going to
no,
freeze
no,
to
no.
death. Yeah. You covered the sled dogs?
Yeah, I covered sled dog racing. One of my favorite events that I covered was the Yukon Quest, which is a 1,000-mile sled dog race.
Wow.
There's 2 of them in Alaska. Most people are more familiar with the Iditarod,
Right.
which is Anchorage's race, and then the Yukon Quest is Fairbanks's race. But yeah, it starts in Fairbanks, it ends in Whitehorse, Yukon, so in Canada, and they alternate starts every year. So some years it starts in Whitehorse, some years it starts in Fairbanks. But it was an unbelievable event to cover, and the Iditarod is, like I said, probably more well known.
It is, yeah.
But it's actually, the Yukon Quest is known for being the more challenging of the 2 races because it happens the month prior, so it's colder. And also it happens in an area of the state where the climate in general is just a little bit rougher. And then there's half as many checkpoints. So with the checkpoints, with the Iditarod, like you can go, 50 miles or so between checkpoints. And with the Yukon Quest, you could easily be going up to like 100 miles. So, which adds an added level of difficulty.
Sure.
So anyways, that was the race that I covered. It was really cool. I got to, with the Quest, it's nice because half of the checkpoints you can actually drive to. So I was able to drive to a lot of the checkpoints and talk to the mushers outside. It was 40 below when I was covering it. So very cold. You have to be prepared for the elements and the weather. Like you can't, record anything with your phone because your phone, dies upon impact of the cold.
Really?
Yeah, no, you can't use your phone out there. So
So you're taking notes?
so you have to write with a pencil because your pen will freeze. So you're writing with a pencil if you're writing it all.
With mittens on, I hope.
Oh, well, no, you'd have to take them off sometimes to write. It's a whole
Frostbite?
thing, you really have
But
to
you can't leave your skin out in 40 below for very long, can you?
not very long, but you can do it for a little bit. And then, yeah, I mean, and there was no internet. That was the other thing. There were checkpoints where there was no internet, which was a whole other issue.
Yeah, so how do you feed, right? How do you get it from here to there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, like, how do you look up random things? You can't look anything up, so you
Yeah.
have to just they give you like a booklet that you can use to reference stuff. But it was unlike anything I have ever covered and probably ever will cover.
Back in my day, we didn't have the internet, so we're very familiar with not looking things up. But you're right. I mean, that would cripple any of us now. We're always just look it up. Yeah. So was the greatest challenge sort of getting, even in your world, as driving it in whatever you drove? I assume it was a car or a truck, not a snowmobile or something, right? Getting point to point, was that the biggest challenge of covering this thing?
Yes. So I drove my Subaru Legacy, which I had really intense snow tires on at the time. I took them off before coming here. I did use them in Boston. But yeah, so I drove my Subaru Legacy to the checkpoints, but you have to drive slow, roads are super icy. Also in Fairbanks, they don't plow.
You're kidding.
Because they only have 2 snow plows. They cannot plow the whole city. So
you just have to drive through it.
You just drive through it and you drive slow. But so you get really accustomed to driving on ice and sliding around everywhere. But yeah, a lot of fishtailing going on. Whenever you go around a corner, you feel like your back tires just plow.
And you didn't. There's no snow in Eastern California. You didn't.
Oh, there is actually.
There is,
So
okay.
I grew up.
You grew up with a little bit.
Yeah, I grew up right next to a ski resort. So
Okay.
I grew up ski racing. So I'm familiar with the snow. But
Yeah.
no, driving to checkpoint was tough. The other thing too, I think I remember, and I'm going back, having to find a place to plug your car in because you have to plug your car in so it heats up the engine block. So my car was winterized, so I have an engine block heater.
Wow.
And I still have the plug hanging out the front. People are like, why don't you tuck that in or take it off? I'm like, no, it adds character, it's cool. But yeah, so I remember trying to find a good place to plug my car in so I could start it the next day.
With that plug on there, you can actually park in the close spots that have the electric stuff in them. You see what I'm saying? And
I don't know if it's the same situation.
Okay, it doesn't matter. So I got a plug.
I'll keep
It's
that
an
in
electric.
mind.
Yeah. That way you get to park close.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was at Ballia, they had 3 spots right in the front. And they were the people with the electric cars.
Yeah.
They were always empty. I'm like, I had to park there.
Yeah.
but I'm a gas guzzler. Can't help myself. I'm a Detroit guy.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe we'll all be going to electric. Maybe we don't. I don't know. So that's such an interesting start to a career. How long were you there?
So I was there for over a year, and I would have stayed longer because I really was enjoying it. But I moved up there in 2019, and then the pandemic obviously started in 2020. So all of the sports up there kind of shut down, and there wasn't much left for me to do. So I would have probably had to start like writing news for them.
That's the worst.
Like, news during COVID, I just didn't
No,
really.
no.
That wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I had been interested in. I was writing at the time. I was writing for a newspaper, and I had been interested in potentially doing something with TV. I wasn't sure kind of in what capacity yet, but that's when I moved out to Boston and started freelancing out there just because like I knew there were so many opportunities out there, and I figured that would be a good place for me to start doing that.
And out of curiosity, was that because you could have moved anywhere? There were opportunities in all the big markets, right? Was it because of your dad's affinity with the Boston teams?
Yeah, I mean, I actually, when I moved out there, I was also getting a master's degree at BU.
Okay.
So I was kind of like trying to figure out how to, make the most out of that time out there, or just the time during the pandemic. Excuse me. But no, I think that was definitely part of it. Like I had family out there. Sorry, I'm like losing my voice.
Yeah, no worries.
Bad timing.
Get her. Yeah, you get her.
Thank you. Yeah, my polar seltzer. Yeah, so I definitely I did have family out there. My dad's family was still out there.
Yeah.
So that was definitely kind of part of it because during that time, like you don't really know what's going on or like where am I going to live, especially like I was going into this journalism degree and I was like, I don't really want to live with roommates. So that was like a good opportunity for me to be out there, be around some family and start this degree while also like finding new freelance opportunities as the world started to open up again.
So undergrad and graduate degrees in journalism, or what are they?
In undergrad, I studied communication and data science, and my graduate degree was in journalism.
Good.
All right.
Yeah. I think it's good to also, in the broadcast side of our business, to have the journalism, because you don't realize until you get into broadcasting how much you write. And I got a broadcasting degree and then got into broadcasting, and they're like, how much journalism have you done? And I'm like, a couple classes. And then all of a sudden I get thrown into it, and I'm like, I write every day. I'm writing all the time. What the hell? Luckily, I like it. And I learned it quickly, but I learned it on the fly. So that's a wise choice.
Hey, Rarities is asking, Laura, what drew you to the Rangers?
Well, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer, right? Like, this was such a great opportunity. I mean, I've been covering a lot of sports out in Boston for a long time, but, Nesson knew, and because I had spoken to them about it, like, I want to cover a big league team. I want to cover, whether that be a major league team, an NHL team, but I want to take that next step. And they were super supportive, and there just weren't any opportunities out there for me at the time. Jemai was covering the Red Sox, and Sophia had been with the Bruins for such a long time. And yeah, I mean, this off season, the Rangers posted that job, and I, applied to it, like hoping that I would get it. But it's like a dream opportunity, right? And I mean, I think with the Rangers, you look at the lineup. I mean, we were looking at the lineup just earlier in this episode. It's such a good lineup. This is going to be such a great team. And I think just from an organizational perspective, I really liked what they were doing with, I didn't know at the time what it would be called. They're calling it RSN, Ranger Sports Network. But, I knew that they were taking their broadcast in-house. I knew they were trying to do something different with it. And I thought that was really cool. It was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I want to be a part of a broadcast that fans can watch. And that's something that, I know that the Rangers are really making a priority for this year.
Yeah, any of the young people that reach out to me in this day and age, and it's been this way for a few years, that get into the business, want to get into the business, I tell them, work for the team.
Mm-hmm.
If you can. You are. You're
Yes.
working for the team. And that's the way. I mean, that's the way of the future, because I got news for you. The Foxes, the Bally's, all of NASNs, all of them of the world, they could go away. Believe me, I experienced it. They go away. Team ain't going anywhere, right? Team is going to be there. And more of these teams will start having their own broadcast. And the next thing you know, you're still there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who carries the broadcast. The team produces the broadcast. So, yeah, you've landed in a really good spot. Good for you. Cleanup segment coming next. We've got a lot to clean up. Thankfully, no messes thus far made by Laura. But there are messes throughout the world of baseball, and we've got to clean them up next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. All right, so I got my favorite shirt on today.
That is your favorite.
Green,
yeah.
that is. I love it because it pops, right? I like a shirt that pops.
There's some pop.
And I've got another one coming that this is actually a star shirt. And I've got one coming that's kind of like this with that flag, like the flag Jeff has on his, but it's this color on blue, and it's Wings, Dallas Wings, our WNBA team. But anyway, we love all this merchandise, and right now we've got the St. Patty's Day stuff out there too. You were in Boston, you know all about St. Patty's Day, Laura. That is a fantastic holiday up there, man. That's stop the world type stuff up there. But anyway, they're great shirts. I got one of those coming. And anyway, I want you to get your merchandise today at store.allcitynetwork.com. The shirts are well made. They're going to last you for as long as you want them to. They're easy to take care of, and they help you represent not only your favorite new podcast network, but your teams as well.
Yeah, I thought about like actually wearing a collared shirt because I anticipated that Laura would be dressed nicely, well, it just didn't work. So I have two shirts on. I have the hoodie, one of the hoodies, and I have the TCU shirt underneath. But anyway, the shirts, you get one for free when you become a diehard member. And right now, Elijah just pulled it up. $48 spring training offer.
Unbelievable.
$48 for a whole year and a free shirt. We've done the math, probably not accurately, but it's around $1.07 or 8 cents a month when you put all the numbers together and divide and all that stuff. So do it. I mean, you get my stuff, which is okay, and then you get Cowboys, Stars, and Mavs. And the Mavs have been killing it with this. I might have heard Luka Doncic got traded, so they've been on top of that. And man, for $48, it's cheaper than anywhere you're going to get that covers all four teams, and it's better too.
It is. We continue to chat with Laura Stickells, the new. What did we say?
Field sideline. I'm going field.
Field reporter.
Yeah, that works.
Field reporter for the Texas Rangers. Have you met John Blake yet?
No, I haven't. Yeah. But everybody's
heard stories.
Truly, everyone has told me I need to meet John Blake because he spent time at Nesson too.
Yes,
so I have all my Nesson people and all these Rangers people telling me I need to meet John Blake, and I'm like, I have to meet this guy. He's like famous.
One of a kind.
Yeah,
you'll meet him, and you'll love him. He's a great man, and his fingerprints, I think, are all over this. There's an Artifacts tour coming. Was there a release on this?
I didn't
see
just see it in my email. So.
Yeah, Artifacts tour. Do we have that graphic on that, Prophet? There it is. So at Globe Life Field, they have literal artifacts of things that really were used in significant and special games, like the helmet that Wyatt Langford wore when he hit for the cycle. And there's a bat that Juan Gonzalez used when he won the Silver Slugger. And I think there's all kinds of game-used stuff. And you will be able to go see that stuff on this Texas Rangers Artifacts tour. And, John Blake is very much a historian of the organization as well. And but that's, to me, that kind of stuff is so cool. That's like it's a part of history.
No, totally agree. And I remember, talking, because I also worked behind the scenes on the Red Sox and Bruins broadcast for Nesson too for the past 3 or 4 years. And I remember talking with a lot of the Red Sox producers and broadcasters, and they were saying, like, we need to put together like a real museum because people have so much of this stuff, and it would be so cool for like fans to be able to go and see this regularly every time they come to the ballpark. So no, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and the Rangers used to have a museum at Globe Life Park. Were you around for that? What Jeff was? Yeah, it was a nice, small but a nice museum that had this type of stuff in it. And now I know I did a feature a couple of years ago on the way they've re-archived all of this stuff. The stuff they have is just unbelievable. When you've got the likes of Nolan Ryan in your organization, and you've got just tremendous history and lots of MVPs and rookies of the year, and all that stuff it's actually now housed in one of these hermetically sealed buildings in a kind of like a big warehouse in Atlanta, Jeff.
Well, and when I think of Artifact Tour, I think of the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, which I've never done it, but we auction it off at the Do It for Dirt events, and like you got to wear gloves, but you get like to hold Babe Ruth's bat and things like that. So this is the Rangers version. And if you're a Rangers fan and have been watching them since '72, and went all those painful years until they won the World Series, this is a heck of a deal. I would do it. I would do it myself. Somebody who's covered the team, and just see what memories it jars loose. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. And you've obviously, I know you have. You've been to the Hall. Have you been to the Hall of Fame yet, Laura?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's great. It's just so awesome, and that's a trip you need to make too. If you could get that behind the scenes tour, good for you, and go buy it at Do It for Dirt and do something for a good cause. But even the regular, just walking through the halls
of
the Hall of Fame. And, to be honest, I'd encourage you to go not on induction weekend because it's so crowded. But it's a really cool town to go up and visit in the summertime, and up there in that, not too far. I mean, it's in the region up there in the Northeast with Boston, and it's just a perfect time of the year up there. It's great. So go check out the Hall of Fame. And when you get a chance, check out this Artifacts tour too. Prophet, do we have that pitcher reaction thing? No? Tomorrow. Yeah, we'll get it tomorrow. Fine. I'm running through the list here. How about this? Mike Trout.
Home run
yesterday.
Yeah, I was happy.
It's amazing, really, that he's back and he's playing right field now, which is fine. It's probably better for him and his longevity. It's good for the game, Laura, when guys like Mike Trout are playing.
Oh, completely. I think like whenever you have guys that have been around a really long time, or that, have been at the top of their game, and they continue to play and they continue to be ambassadors for the sport, I mean, that's never a bad thing. And just to see him to continue to have success, I think, is really exciting.
He hit the ball a long way. If you've ever been to Tempe Diablo, he hit it pretty deep there in left center. That's a poke. So it was I've said it again and again and again. Baseball's better when their best players are healthy. Mike Trout, I'm willing to bet when he's healthy, is still one of the best players.
Yeah, and we had Ron Washington on the show during the winter meetings, and Wash was pretty willing to bet that too, Jeff. He's hey, this guy's better than everybody,
Yeah, I mean,
basically still a top 15 player.
Well, I mean, Wash managed to get some for a long, early in Trout's career. Wash was still here, and he terrorizes the Rangers, and he still does when he's playing. It's just, again, I'm a big Mike Trout fan, and I hope that he is able to play more than 2 weeks like he did last year.
Yeah. I remember I was the field reporter, I guess, for a game. The first time we saw him in Anaheim, I was in Anaheim. Tom Grieve, you probably heard that name, Laura. Yet if you haven't, you will. Tom Grieve was was the color commentator, and all of us got in the car after the game, and we're heading back to the hotel, and the Rangers won the game against the Angels, and Grieve is just like, damn it, getting in the car, kind of throwing his stuff in there, and I'm driving like, Tom, geez, we won. What the hell's wrong? I got to watch that son of a bitch shove it up our you-know-what for the next 15 years. I go, who are you talking about? He goes, that Mike Trout kid. God, he's good.
Wow.
He was and this was the first time we'd seen Trout. And Grieve, again, he's a former player, former general manager, and then he was a broadcaster for years. And he knew immediately when he saw that kid, this is going to be a guy forever.
Yeah,
so
I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Yeah, I am too. I hope that he continues to hit home runs. I hope that playing in right field will help him, be able to hang around for a longer period of time. And what the heck is wrong with Jose Urena?
I don't know. I don't get this one. I mean, I understand him going to the Mets. I just don't understand why he was available.
Minor league contract with the Mets. I don't even know if it's a minor league contract. So he's going to have to make the team and displace somebody more than likely.
Well, they are dealing with some injuries, so he's got that going for him, which is nice, I guess. But they have a couple injuries in the rotation, which is going to shuffle some things. He was so good for the Rangers last year, and he's been up and down throughout his career. obviously, but he's an established guy. And what he did last year and just pitching 2 or 3 innings, or even when he pitched 5 innings as a starter, was really good. And I'm surprised that the Rangers didn't have a higher priority on him to come back. He works hard. He's a good teammate. He seems very genuine when we would speak to him, about his role on the team and how important it was to him. So we'll see what happens there. He also hates Ronald Acuna. I think there's some bad blood between him and Ronald Acuna.
Really?
And so the Mets and the Braves will be playing a lot this year.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that rekindled.
Osuna and Acuna. I don't know. Is there something there?
Hey, is my mic not high there, Elijah? Terry's saying, might just be that I'm talking very low.
Yeah. You got that deep.
I'm
You got
caps.
You got
Terry's
that deep
pissed.
voice working. Laura, did you travel at all with the teams you covered?
I traveled with some hockey teams, and I traveled with BU hockey, and then I covered UMass football
Okay.
when I was out
boy.
there too, which that was rough at times.
Yeah.
But I did get to go to like Auburn and Penn State.
Oh, that's
stuff
cool.
like that,
That's
so it was
fun.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who's just starting up a UMass football site because apparently they have a good coach and they've put some money into the UIL, or not UIL, NIL collective has put up a little money, so they think that better times are ahead for the Minutemen.
Wow.
I'm
Finally.
not gonna get behind that.
Yeah.
Well,
But good luck
Yeah.
to your friend.
Good luck with all that, right?
Yeah.
So traveling with the team, I mean, this is gonna be you're gonna love this. I did it. I was with covering the Cowboys for first 12 years I was here and traveled with them, and then covered the Rangers. I was on the Rangers charter for probably about 14 years. You're just gonna love it. It's unbelievable. I hate flying commercial now.
I don't want it to ruin me.
Oh,
for
it's gonna.
commercial airlines.
It's
for forever,
man.
but
It's so nice.
Oh, my
You just
God.
walk on that plane. There's food everywhere. It's the greatest thing in the world. That's the thing I'm going to miss most about being involved. I swear to God. And the hotels are nice too.
I would imagine so.
Yeah,
Yes.
the hotels are very, very nice, especially Houston. That I think it's called the Royal Park Oak Hotel. Oh man, that's really nice. Toronto's hotel is nice. The Four Seasons.
Baltimore's a Four Seasons.
Yeah, Baltimore's the Four Seasons. Yeah,
There's a
the Inner Harbor.
Lululemon within like spitting distance. So
That's dangerous.
it is.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
I haven't stayed there. I was at the little cheap ass courtyard right around the corner. But anyway, I would run into the guys at the
sneak into
Lululemon.
Lululemon.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, a whole shopping area right there. So
BC just chimed in with a very unpopular opinion. LAX, nicest airport. Get lost, BC. Burbank too. Too small. I've never flown in and out of Fair.
I don't mind. I don't
Burbank.
mind Burbank. It is small. It is a small airport, so you
Yeah.
can't always fly in there. But I always go. What's the one down the John Wayne?
John Wayne's not bad.
John Wayne, and I'd fly like if I was leaving, the team was moving on somewhere else, and I was leaving. I'd fly out of John Wayne down there in Orange
But they
County.
fly into what? Long Beach when they play
Yeah,
the
because
Angels?
John Wayne doesn't allow
Well,
flights
right.
after midnight or something.
Or
Oh.
before 7 a.m. because you have a 6:45 flight. You pull away from the gate and you have to sit on the tarmac until 7.
You got to be kidding.
That's the truth.
I thought it was because it was loud. The loud part is the landing, right? So why that
I'm just
doesn't
saying.
make any sense.
And San Diego's airport has some weird stuff too.
Is it really?
Yeah, some weird curfews, like 11 p.m. curfew, I think.
Is that right?
So teams, there have been times when teams are like, "Hey, we got to, we got to go."
Well, you'll learn, Laura, that a lot of those little rules get blown off when you're with the team. Going through customs into Canada, it's a beautiful thing. So anyway, man, we're so glad you came to say hi. And we'll be seeing you all season long. We'll be watching you on the games. We'll see you at the ballpark. But, yeah, thanks for spending time with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got to come in and see the offices in the studio. You guys have a cool setup out here.
Well, now you're welcome anytime. You live pretty close, so anytime you want to stop by.
Yeah,
You don't even ask.
Yeah, you don't have to ask.
Come through.
Come on
Come
in.
on up. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be easy. Just pop up and say hi. That's going to do it for us. We appreciate you guys.
Oh, we got 40 more seconds.
Oh, 20 more. Okay. Well, we appreciate each and every one of you chatting, as you always do with us. We appreciate you liking and subscribing. We're going to be back tomorrow and Monday at noon. I think next week when Jeff's in Arizona, we're going to move to a slightly later time Although I don't know that that's official
I don't know.
yet.
I don't know. 11 there might not be bad.
Oh, really? Okay, so we may
But
stay
I mean,
at noon.
I don't think we could count on any player guests.
I got you.
But 11's kind of when they're coming off the field, it might not
From
be
the
bad.
workout. Okay.
I don't know. We got to think about it a little more.
We'll work on that, and we thank you. We'll be here. We'll keep you apprised, and we'll be here at noon the rest of this week and Monday. So until the next time, we thank you for joining us on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.